only thing we have to
Beer.
is
Beer.
itself.
Beer. So many choices.
Only no function beer well without.
Woohoo! Beer! Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Busters, where we're going to bring you the news and reviews of your favorite brews. My name is Dan Baker, and I'm joined by my co-host and brewologist,
Steph Hefner.
and of course the demented and fermented
Wayne Baker.
My, oh my, are you in for a treat tonight? I am jealous of all of you out there in podcast land that are listening to this right now.
You might describe this episode as epic.
Yes,
I think epic in scope.
that is a proper word for it. So we're physically somewhere we've been before recently. We are at Root Down in Phoenixville. Keen listeners will remember an episode that was released over the summer of 2018. We were here. That was the day of the Beck concert, which was an awesome, fantastic day.
That's
It was an
right.
Awesome fucking concert.
Yes.
That's right.
Now, the reason this is such an epic episode is we have, as Wayne puts it, the Brew Triangle?
The Brewing Triangle.
Brewing Triangle.
I couldn't think of a better name for the Facebook event, so that's what I called it.
I think it works. It's a good term.
Because I looked at a map, and I was like, oh, they make a triangle. And then I thought, any 3 points on a map make a triangle.
Well, I don't know about any three.
Unless they're like in a line.
Exactly, yeah. So we're at Root Down. Of course, we're going to have some of our friends from Root Down on. We are, after that, going to talk to Gene from Tired Hands,
Yay.
which is very exciting because the man runs a powerhouse of a brewery in the Philly area. And then we're going to talk to some gentlemen from East Branch, which I can't wait either because I don't think I've ever had any East Branch beers.
And for the first time ever, we are actually going to be asking questions on the show that you, our listeners, have
Yes.
posted on our Instagram story.
And it'll be just long enough from the time that we record until you hear it that you will have completely forgotten that you did.
That's true.
So that's a super exciting new twist to tonight's show.
That is very true. Now, before we get into all of the fun and shenanigans, of course, remember, you can find us online, Twitter and Instagram, where we do occasionally post things like this, at BeerBusters, Facebook.com/BeerBusters Podcast, or just search for BeerBusters Podcast in the search bar, because let's face it, you're not using the website nowadays. 805-991-BEER, 805-991-2337, and, of course, Patreon.com.
Don't forget. Yeah, and of course, as we always say, the best part of being a patron on Patreon is you get to listen to Last Call, which is super awesome, bonus podcast segment that we record when we're all sauced up at the end of the night. And tonight's Last Call, the plan is to have all these jokers at the table at the same time. So
I'm still trying to figure out how that's going to work.
Yeah, I think when we record Last Call, I'm going to close my eyes to try and get the listener experience to see if I can figure out who's talking when.
Not a bad idea.
But yeah, so it should make for an interesting episode of Last Call this evening.
Yeah,
so.
Patreon.com/BeerBusters.
Do it to it.
Yeah. We have a lot in front of us. We're not going to do any news since it's such a gigantic, fun episode.
We
Packed
are
to the
the
gills,
news.
if you will. We are the news, yes. So to kick it all off, we have a couple of guys with us who are from Root Down. We have with us
Mike.
returning to the show. Mike,
Yeah.
thank you. And, of course, newcomer to the show,
Steve Bischoff.
Steve, thank you for, both of you for having us out here. And, Steve, thanks for joining us at the table this time around.
My pleasure.
So it's been real time, 5-6 months since we have been here? 5 months, I guess.
Not too long. No.
Yeah.
It was in June. Yeah.
And how many pounds?
A few came back on, but I did lose a whopping 42-ish
Hey,
That's
pounds.
awesome.
Congratulations.
And then
You're
me
a
and
whole
my,
new man.
Yeah, me and my wife went to Dominican Republic, and I quickly gained 10 back.
Yeah, that sounds
Okay.
about right.
Well, the beer sucked, and I had to drink sugary alcohol drinks for like a week
Well, I
straight.
mean, if you're there, I feel like you have to
Blame
do
it on the
like,
booze.
tropical beverages.
all inclusive, so we just ate nonstop.
Just go to town on all of it.
yeah.
So just so our listeners know, the only reason Mike invited us back is so we take a new picture of him
Yep.
for our website.
I want to show off my new bod.
Wow.
Yeah.
You
So-
could have just asked, man. You didn't have to go through all of this.
Well, I figured
glad
this
you
would be
did.
this would be a little more fun.
I could have went back and redacted the old photo. And just
Well,
put it in.
honestly, this was the only way I could get my friends from East Branch and Tired Hands to hang out with me.
Okay,
that's fair.
I had to come up with a way to get them here for the holidays.
So what you're saying is you're using us.
Yes,
Pretty
Okay.
much. I'm
You,
okay with
you
that.
can keep using
Yes,
us.
go
That's
ahead.
We do, though.
You got some free drinks, right?
that is
Some
true.
free
So
ice
that's
water.
That's all we need.
Yeah,
all
that
we
ice
need.
water's on the house. Don't worry about
Oh,
it.
thanks.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
We do need to thank you, though, because you did pretty much put this whole
this was all you, more or
thing
less.
together.
You
It
get
was basically your
producing
idea.
credits for
Oh,
this
nice.
episode,
Yeah,
I think.
very cool.
Not that we have credits, but
Well,
sure.
yeah. You would
I-
get one if we did.
Yeah. I thought this time of the year was, this time of the year is a time to be together with family and friends. And what better than do a podcast with your friends in the brewing community? So it just seemed to work out perfectly.
Very well said. Well, thank you for putting all this together. It's
Yeah.
awesome, and I'm glad to be part of it.
We should also mention, at the time of recording, we are 4 days away from Christmas.
Yep, and it's 60 degrees outside.
Yeah,
It
is
is
really warm out.
awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I
We
like it.
ate outside. Rich and I went out for lunch, and we ate outside.
No,
It was awesome.
no, it needs to be cold. I don't like the cold, but it needs to be cold.
No.
I agree.
But that's a different topic for a different day. So since we were last here,
A different podcast, really.
yeah, exactly. There has been a lot that has happened in the world of Root Down. Remind me, when we were here last time, my timeline's a little off. GABF had not happened yet, correct?
Correct,
But you
no.
had sent stuff out there.
We did send stuff out. They allowed us to send 4 beers
Four?
out.
Woo.
They told us we could send 4 beers out, so we picked 4 of our best that we believe in. We sent it out, and I don't want to say we were surprised with the results, but we had some good luck out in Denver.
Yeah. So you got what, a silver for your Goza, right?
Salty
Correct.
by
Salty by
nature.
Salty
nature.
by nature. You had a gold in
Gold.
the American IPA category,
Yeah,
right?
not just
American
any golds.
IPA.
Yeah.
The freaking American IPA
Yeah.
category. That's
Yeah.
absurd.
How
One of
many
the most
entrants-
coveted category.
Yeah, how
Oh,
many
for
entrants
sure.
were
That is
there
the
in
gold of gold.
Yep.
Were there? How many people did you beat? How many breweries did you beat?
I don't know what it was.
310 other entries.
Steve
from
knows
the
exactly.
time.
Steve knows.
Yeah,
I
he
love
knows.
it.
He
That's
knows.
amazing.
The only
guys.
other larger category was the hazy and or juicy IPA category,
course.
which
Which-
was 389.
Which we're
entries.
going to talk to Gene / yell at him about later, of course. But
He
that's
started an amazing
So,
thing.
like the
Like, I
past
gotta give the
12
man credit.
years, the American IPA has been the biggest category.
That's amazing. That's
pretty
awesome.
awesome.
Congratulations, guys. But there's another one that you had gotten, which I think is by far probably the bigger compliment from me looking at it from the outside. You guys had gotten the mid-sized brew pub and brewer of the year.
Yeah, crazy, right?
That's amazing.
That's the man right next to us.
Dude,
that's Steve right there.
So how
Mid-sized brewer.
How did you
He's
make that
smiling,
happen?
guys.
Well, it's basically based on points.
Okay.
So we got gold.
Oh, so that's how they do it. Okay.
Yeah, it's a
I think it was
pointing
7 points, and then silver was 6 points. So if somebody else had gotten 3 bronze, for example, then they would have gotten the mid-size.
Oh,
Oh.
okay. Okay.
Dude, that's amazing.
We'll take it.
It's great.
I would hope so. But so you remind me, how long have you guys been open?
June 20th.
Yeah, so just over a year.
So a year in, when you send your beer out, you get 2 medals, and you wind up being mid-sized brew pub and brewer of the year. I don't
Yeah, it was
know
wild,
that I've
right?
seen any other breweries do that young. That's
Where
amazing.
do you go from here?
Yeah, like what's
We're
next?
done. We're done.
Just shut the doors.
This is
I'm never sending beers
We're
to
at the
GABF
apex
ever
right
again.
now.
this is the
The only
real
thing-
reason
yeah.
for the podcast. He wanted to
Right.
announce exclusively on beer buses
Yeah.
that they're shutting down. We've done it.
It's all over.
I just really hope I haven't peaked already.
Like a child actor. Like a child actor that,
Aw.
14 years old.
Are you
did
Macaulay
great.
Culkin?
I was going to say, later that way, with Macaulay Culkin, 20 years down the road, you could have a revival where it's all nostalgia about your career.
Yeah,
then.
that Google
Let's ju-
commercial.
yeah.
Exactly.
That's pretty awesome.
Let's
Yeah,
just
they
hope
know.
Steve's more like Drew Barrymore. Let's keep
Oh,
that going
yes.
longer.
Yes, be Drew
That's
Barrymore,
good.
not
Good
Macaulay
point.
Culkin.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Wasn't Macaulay Culkin in Phoenixville not long ago?
Yeah, he was just in Phoenixville
Oh,
about
no
a
way.
month ago. Yeah,
What?
he did not stop at Root Down.
What?
He's a
boo.
bourbon drinker, I think. He was down at Bluebird, the
Oh, very
distillery
cool.
down the street.
At least he
Okay,
went somewhere
So,
local to
yeah,
drink.
yeah.
Guys.
Was that why he was here? Just to go to the brewery? Or the
No, I think he
distillery,
was
rather?
doing something in Philly and just kind of passed through.
I thought
Wow.
he was lost.
Probably was, yeah.
He's been
Maybe they
lost
were
for
making
20
Home
years.
Alone 7 or whatever.
Yeah,
they were
exactly.
doing.
Lost in Phoenixville.
It'll be like the new vacation movie. He'll be the dad that leaves the kid at home then.
Yeah.
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 he gets locked in a brewery overnight and people try to rob it and he just sets up a whole bunch of traps.
Oh, I love it.
That's the reboot I want to see.
So I don't want to harp on this too much, but I'm curious how things have changed since GABF. I mean, you're already getting a lot more media attention.
We got
You
a
know.
little bit more media attention, yeah. The one thing I will say that changed that we noticed the most is, and here's the great thing, listen back to the first podcast that I was on. The only thing that has changed is now Bine is our number one selling IPA.
That's
our
so
clean
funny.
filtered IPA is our number one selling IPA.
It's so
Whereas
refreshing to hear.
before, everyone that worked at Root Down, and I think I even said it on the podcast, Bine was our IPA. We
Yeah.
pushed it on people all the time. However, everybody would go, well, give me the Flying Guillotine and the Mock, which are awesome IPAs, no doubt. They wanted the unfiltered stuff. However, now when they come into Root Down, our number one selling IPA is Bine. So we're proud of that.
Should we
happy.
drink this number one
We
selling
have it in front of
IPA?
us.
Yes.
So actually,
Yeah,
I
let's
have
do
it all in front of me. I'll pass it around. So I have it. We
Always
just
been
canned
my
it
favorite.
yesterday. So
Nice.
Ooh.
So yeah,
I'll wait in line for it.
no.
No, I said it's always been my favorite.
I thought you said I'll wait in line for it.
And then
I would
there's-
if I had to.
Oh, God, it smells like my ideal IPA.
Does it smell like gold?
You good?
He already has it.
It
in
does.
His glass.
Oh, is that what he's drinking?
Our ghost guest
Yeah,
at
we-
the table. Hold on, I gotta take a picture.
Oh, sorry. We have a silent partner at the table. We now have 2 silent partners at the table.
Oh man,
East Branch is slowly taking
Yeah.
over this segment.
It's Silent Jay and Silent Bob.
where's my mic?
It's gonna be
Where's
for
my
you
mic?
at this seat.
We need to have like a podcast gnome, like somebody in the background in every episode at some point just goes, "Where's my mic?"
That's not a bad idea. I really like this.
Smells
I forgot how
lovely.
good just a regular IPA could be. A standard.
A lot
Normal.
of people forgot that,
Yeah.
but I think I mean,
It's not pretentious.
yeah,
just-
I think it's
just a
it's
delicious
slowly
beer.
coming back around.
This is great. I
good
can see why
stuff.
this won.
It was really cool to kind of bring that metal, not just for Root Town, but just for the area in general. Just to put the area on the map for a gold medal for that category. Because for years, I mean, you've always seen it at California. Russian River would get it, or Bell's. And all great deserve.
Right,
they deserve the medal, but it was just cool to have it so local right here for that category.
That is amazing.
So, Steve, talk about this beer. I mean, you're the one that made it. You brewed it.
It's my baby. It's always been my favorite beer that we've brewed here. The Pils is a close second, but the Vine has always been my number one favorite. Focus on clean, hoppy character. It's assertively bitter, but it's not aggressively in-your-face bitter. A lot of IPAs these days are going towards the sweeter side, 20 IBUs, whatever. This is 60 IBUs, and it's definitely a 60 IBU beer. I just love it. I can't stop drinking it. It's dangerous.
Is it even more exciting to get acknowledged for a beer that you're so proud of and that
Absolutely.
you already love so much?
Absolutely. If I get gold for, like Mike was saying, Flying Guillotine or Mock, which are also great sellers, or Hoppy Digital, for example, I'd be like, cool. But the Vine, I literally cried for like an hour and a half, of tears of joy when I found out that I got gold medal. I mean, it's. I'm so proud of this beer.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Steve has made tweaks to this since the day we opened. He made tweaks, little subtle changes,
Minimal tweaks.
little
at a time.
tweaks
Yeah,
to make it exactly the way he wanted it. And what we sent out to GABF was exactly what Steve worked towards and what he wanted. And that's the beer that went out. And it was
said,
cool
it's my
to
baby,
to have it judged with a school of peer. Oh, jeez. Everybody's piling around. Everybody just
all
wait
over
your
now.
turn, all right? Don't hog Root Down's time on the mic. Everybody just wait it out. Yeah, so we got some special guests in the house tonight. This is going to be a fun one.
I'm looking forward to it.
Things are already getting hairy.
What hops do you use in Vine?
Top secret.
Humulus lupulus. It's I'll give out my recipe all day long. We've had
Yeah,
this
we'll bring it
discussion.
out, yeah.
So it's a small bittering edition of Warrior, and there's a lot of Citra, Mosaic, Centennial. Originally, it was very heavy on the Centennial. We kind of backed off of that and added more Citra in. So it's Centennial, Citra, Mosaic, Amarillo. And yeah, that's about it.
Nice.
A little dextrose to help dry it out.
Yeah.
Clean malts. There's no crystal malt, for example, no cloying sweetness to try and cover up later on.
So I see we were drinking this from cans. Is this pretty much always available in cans?
No, we try to. I mean, like I said, we had a ton of it, and then we won GABF, and it sold out quickly. And
We had to scurry
we
to
didn't have it
make
in the
more.
tanks because
Right.
it wasn't our
biggest
top-selling
seller.
IPA.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, boom, like the explosion, everybody wanted Bine. And, we want to be doing this. We had to just start making a ton of Bine at all times. So we're getting into it, and we're trying to keep it in stock at all times.
We currently have it in 2 different fermenters right now.
Yeah.
One of them being
Yeah.
our biggest fermenter.
Yep. Yeah,
So we're keeping up on it now.
we're trying to.
I guess you're okay with that since it's your favorite beer.
Absolutely. All day
another
long.
reason for this to happen.
If the sales drop, I'll drink it all. We're good.
I'll help you.
Once that honeymoon glow is gone, you'll just kind of take the rest. Yep.
So when you're not brewing Vine, I wouldn't call it Vine. Not the 6-second app. When you're not brewing Vine, you guys have been doing pretty many collaborations here as well. Most recently, we were chatting with Greg, the owner of Rebel Hill, and you guys recently did a champagne IPA with Greg.
Right.
So tell us about that.
Yeah, so we are calling it a champagne-style IPA. Why we're calling it that, it is what it is. Names these days don't matter. But when we were on the podcast the first time, you guys were talking about the Brute IPA style.
Yes.
You're welcome for educating you about new beer styles.
So, and then it came time, I started talking with Greg from Rebel Hill, which is one of the newer breweries down in Phoenixville. And we started, we wanted to do a collaboration over the summer, and things got pushed back. And then it just so happened that we were doing a collaboration right around the holiday time. And I said to Greg, well, why don't we do a collaboration and make a beer that would be perfect for New Year's Eve? Because that's how it's working out. It's coming out right before New Year's Eve. And we talked about the Brewed IPA. However, we didn't want to make it so cookie cutter like the way the Brewed IPAs are being made right now. We tried to switch it up a little bit. We're using a French yeast strand that we use for a few other beers that go super dry. So with this beer, we don't need to add enzymes to it to help it dry out. This yeast, with a little bit of temperature control, will dry it out on its own. And then we made a real simple recipe to mimic the taste of a champagne with a little bit slight bready character to it. And then we're going to filter it. We're going to filter the hell out of it. And we're going to make it brilliantly clear, up the carbonation a little bit, make it a little extra bubbly, and then put it out for New Year's. So because of that, we're calling it champagne style. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of people, every time we say we're making a champagne style IPA, they go, oh, you mean a brewed IPA? Call it what you want. We're calling it a champagne style IPA. It's going to be a one and done beer.
I like champagne style because I feel like a brewed IPA isn't like, you don't set out to make a beer that's like champagne. It's just a style that has champagne-like characteristics.
Yeah.
Whereas what you're describing is like, no, let's make a beer that's like champagne.
We're shooting
like
for
you're
a
doing
champagne.
all the things that are going to make it champagne-y.
And we're putting it in. We're putting some of it in champagne bottles.
Nice
for sale.
Nice.
So it will be canned, but it'll also be in champagne bottles.
By the way, just for reference, last year our New Year's Eve toast was Salty by Nature.
Salty by Nature,
which took silver medal. So you know,
Steve's doing the segue. He's driving. He's driving this podcast. Look at that.
A little premonition.
Look at the confidence in this brewer now. I love it. I love it.
You give him a couple medals, man. And
No, I'm the most humble guy.
Women love cocky
try
brewers.
to be.
So I see there's another beer at the table.
So the other one is the Salty by Nature.
Wow.
See, like I said, Steve was doing the segue for you.
Didn't even know it.
How serendipitous.
Perfect. So we are only drinking medal-winning beers with Root Down tonight.
That's it.
That's what we do.
all.
That's what we do.
So, and actually, I think both of these beers you guys had the last time on the podcast. I think Salty by Nature was on, or maybe it was the fruited version.
A version of it.
I believe it was a fruited version.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Okay.
Yeah. But I remember talking about the name Salty by Nature.
Yeah.
Because it's an awesome name.
And you know what? Can I do a little bit of bragging in the sense of
Please do.
One of the coolest. Yes, it was cool to win the gold and the silver, but there was a magazine. I can't remember the magazine, but they wrote an article about top beer names at GABF. And we made top beer names with Salty by Nature.
That's
Did you really?
awesome.
And I was like, is it sad that I find that more rewarding? Like, I just think that's cooler. I don't know, but
Yes.
yeah,
that is sad.
it is sad.
It's funny because I see those articles every year because I'm always Googling weird and funny beer names for the podcast. And I always see those come up. The GABF one's always a good one because it makes my job so much easier because when GABF happens, everybody just makes lists of all the funniest, weirdest beer names, and I can just go to one place and be like, oh, that's good, that's good, that's good. Yeah, that's all.
People love lists. It's easier than
That's
just
true.
reading. It's easier than reading an article.
This is
Read
true.
a list.
I mean, I only read headlines, really.
Not going to say it. So, Steve, tell us about this beer.
Salty, it's very clean. My opinion, that's why I thought we should enter it into the GABF. It's a clean representation of the style. It's not overly sour. It's a well-balanced sourness. It's not a one-dimensional sourness. It doesn't just taste like lactic acid, for example. We keep the saltiness minimal, so it's there, but it's not overpowering. I just think it's a great, refreshing beer. I mean, honestly, it's a great summertime beer.
Or wintertime.
Sure, fair enough. I'm not going to limit you to your drinking.
A holiday goes.
Winter when it feels like summer outside.
It's hot out.
But it's very refreshing when it's hot out.
Say, baby, it's Goza outside.
It's Goza.
Yeah, that was a stretch. That was a stretch.
No, but it is so clean, and I haven't used this phrase in a while, but it does clean up after
There we
itself.
go. There it is.
does.
The
It
Gozas
does.
I don't like stay with you,
Sure.
and you have that lingering sweetness, and then it almost like gives me a headache sometimes.
Yeah.
It's so annoying. it
That's
won't
why I
go
normally
away.
don't like them, but like this is delicious. You're
No,
right. It's
it is
refreshing.
refreshing.
It's clean.
Yeah.
It's
You want to go back for another sip
Yeah.
every time.
This is. I feel like this is the Goza for people who don't like Gozas.
Yeah, I mean, and
It's low
that's,
ABV. You know?
that's actually a good way
As a Goza should
to
be.
describe it in the sense that
Like an entry to Gozas.
right,
Right.
yeah, the gateway Goza,
Yeah.
in the sense that you know, multiple people have said to us, and friends of ours, that they'll go, I like my Gozas a little more tart, or I like them a little more salty, and we could do that. We could do that very easily. We could allow that to go more tart. We could put more salt in, but this gives us the broadest range of people trying it and liking it.
And it's a great platform to add fruit.
Right. Yeah, we
It's true.
do a lot of fruited versions of this style. So one we have on right now is the blackberry sour. Although we didn't add salt to it, that's a Berliner Weiss technically, but
Splitting hairs at that point.
sure. once you add a ton of blackberry, yeah.
Yeah.
It'll make it
Salt
nice.
anyways. Right?
I like this a lot. Now, how many beers do you have on tap here?
Right now, I think we have about 12.
Really? It seems kind of low.
I was going to
Yeah,
say,
Usually it's like 16, 17.
Yeah, usually it's
I was
about
going to say,
16.
according to the
It
notes,
might
it's
be
17, but they're also in Roman numerals, so I could be wrong.
No, I don't.
you're
I
right.
don't think we have 17 on right now. I think we're about 12 right now. But we try to keep a big variety of beers.
Even
on.
at 12, I mean, that's a respectable showing.
Yeah,
Sure, fair enough. Yeah.
and a lot of them. I mean, there's not a lot of repeat styles on there.
Yeah.
You know, a
Well,
lot
yeah,
of,
there's
lot
the
of
Berliner
different
Weiss
styles.
Coffee Stout, Imperial Stout, Double Dry Hot Pale Ale, Sour IPA, Hazy Unfiltered IPA,
He's reading
Golden.
the list.
Yeah,
it's- it's-
you're
yeah.
right. Like this is all over the place. American Lager,
Say about
heavy.
lists. He loves lists.
He does love
He only
lists.
reads the headlines.
Yeah, that's right.
Pretty proud of the variety that we
Yeah,
brew.
man.
You know, we don't just we're not pigeonholed into one style. We do whatever we want to do and whatever the customers want, and do it well.
So that kind of brings up another question I wanted to ask, and I'm probably going to try to ask this to everybody in the segments we have on. So if you want to stay true to what the customers want, obviously you need to sell beer.
Right.
But how much of that is then influenced, what you have on, by what you want to do as a brewer, as a brewery owner? Where's the happy medium? Do you go to either extreme?
I think you have to do what you are going to fully get behind and push yourselves. And if you don't do that, the guest experience, they're going to notice it. So we get behind every beer we do. There's unfiltered beers because we have to do them, but we do it in a way that we truly think we truly love it,
Right.
and we think we put our best into it. We're not phoning any beer in just because it's a trendy style and we
Right.
have to have
Good.
it on there.
Even if I'm not in love with the style, I'm still going to produce the best example
Of
I
course.
possibly can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
That's my job.
It's your job, and it's your medal-winning responsibility.
Correct. It's my responsibility.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be the first to admit that our hazy IPAs, or unfiltered IPAs as we call them, they're our top sellers.
Yeah.
But we're not selling our soul and only putting that on.
Right.
So
There's something to be said for. There's a lot to be said for that.
and we'll tell people, like, yes, we put an alt beer on, and it is a slower seller, but it's on there for a reason because we believe in it.
Right.
And
It's
we're
on
getting
there
behind it, and we're pushing it.
Because
And
it's
I'm
the
people
fine
that
with
do
it being
try it.
slow.
It's
People
on there
do
because
try
it's
it, love it.
delicious. I just had a pint of it.
Yeah.
I love that beer.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
y'all
took
really
a
read it?
sip or
Yeah.
two of his. It was
So
great.
So good.
Very cool.
And you don't see many alt beers.
That's why.
well,
That's what everybody says.
East
why I
Branch,
ordered it,
East
yeah.
Who's coming up next or third, I don't know when. They make an
Yeah.
amazing alt beer too. So
I think
There's
our
that
article
freaking
came out
gnome
first.
Now, I don't remember if I had asked this last time, and I'd be surprised if I didn't. You have a glorious rack of barrels over there,
right.
and I'm just curious what the plan is with those.
We've used a few already. So they're
all-
all filled
they're all-
with beer.
A couple of them are empty right now.
Oh, that's right, yeah,
But they
one
are
filled with the,
primarily
sulfur.
filled with
Okay.
beer. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Are they bourbon barrels, rum barrels,
Mix-
wine
it's a
barrels,
mix.
of all? All right.
Two of them that we have over there right now are rye whiskey barrels, and they have a smoked porter in
Oh,
there.
come on.
And the smoked porter that we put in there, we actually have it on draft. It's called Doof Warrior. This was a completely gimmicky, yet gimmicky for a reason because it's a charity beer. we worked with a local electric guitar manufacturer, and we got 2 wooden electric guitars before they got made into electric guitars. We put them in the fermenter and fermented the beer on these electric guitars. The electric guitars were then taken out. We transferred it into the whiskey barrels. The electric guitars are being made into electric guitars right now. We're going to auction the electric guitars off, and all the proceeds will go to a local charity called Crescendo, which gives musical instrument and music lessons to underprivileged kids in
amazing.
Phoenixville.
Oh, that's so cool.
That is really cool.
Gimmicky, but gimmicky for a reason.
No, I wouldn't call it gimmicky. That's great.
I want to drink that beer.
Yeah, I do too.
So we have the non-barrel aged version on.
Right.
So it's just Doof Warrior. It's the smoked
Minus
porter.
the barrel.
We'll bring some out.
We will have to try some of that
We'll bring
later.
some out during the East Branch segment.
We got to play nice. There's always last call for that.
Yeah, I wonder if they've done any beers for charity.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They got a big one to talk about. Absolutely.
Well, there's obviously so much more that we can ask you guys because we love Root Down and there's so much you've going on. But considering we still have 2 other breweries that we need to talk to
Absolutely.
and dedicate a lot of time to finding out about what they have to offer, I'm hoping at least one of you guys can come back towards the end of the show. We want
Sure.
to try to get everybody back on.
Yeah.
And then of
It'll
course,
be a
there's-
complete shit show at the end of the night.
And then there's going to be a last call, which will be even more of a shit show.
Yeah.
I have to say, once again, thank you for having us out here and putting all this together, guys. It was great. It's already awesome.
Thank you.
And thanks for kicking us off here with these great beers. These award-winning beers.
That's how we
We're going to beat that dead horse for the rest of this year. We got all of 2018 and 19 to do it. So.
I say you have
You should.
like a week left in 2018.
Yeah, but until the next GABF, we're going to be saying it all the time.
Yeah, we got all year to promote those.
Yeah,
and then you'll just have more medals to
Yeah,
talk.
yeah.
You'll come back with 2 goals.
Hopefully they let us enter more than 4 next time.
Yeah, hopefully.
Do they have a
'Cause
limit on what you can enter?
They told us 4.
Interesting.
I don't know why. Maybe.
But now that they know you were mid-sized brew pub
Maybe.
brewer of the year,
I think about it, we won 50% of the
Yeah.
beers we entered.
Yeah.
We medaled
That's
in.
true.
So, who knows?
just put in an odd number of beers next year so there is no 50.
Yeah. And we'll go next time because we weren't even out there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Can I go with?
Sure.
All right, cool.
We're actually renting a bus. We're doing a road trip out
I'll
there.
go.
So.
It's
Sweet.
recorded. I'm in.
That'll be awesome.
We'll podcast from the road.
Good
Oh,
deal.
God.
On the
This
bus.
is great. Gentlemen, thank you so much. I appreciate it. We look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thanks, guys.
Switching gears, we kicked the guys from Root Down off the mic. Although Mike is still here. Oh, I got to turn your mic on then.
Mike's
do you
like,
wanna,
I'm
do
not
you wanna
going
be part
anywhere.
of the? That's
No.
the wrong one. You can.
I may have something important to say.
I mean,
maybe.
Hey, I'll leave your mic. And you know what? I'll unmute yours too, just in case. We might start We're all part of this together. But we are switching gears. There's a lot that can be said about the next brewery. It boils down to more or less Philly and Eastern PA powerhouse at this point. Been around for 8 years, I believe I saw.
Almost 7.
Almost 7. Okay, cool.
Math is hard.
Math is hard. You are totally right. But we're talking about Tired Hands, and I can't believe it's taken us, almost 6 years to get not just anybody from Tired Hands, but the man himself. We have with us
Gene Brolé.
Gene. How are you, man?
Fine, how are you?
Doing fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight, man. This is great.
Any old times.
When you first set out in the beer industry years and years ago, did you ever imagine you would get to this point?
Well, I'm not sure that I'm at a point, really.
Really?
I feel like, no, I didn't expect to have, multiple breweries. I just kind of wanted to have my cafe and brew beer and that be it.
Okay.
But I believe in sustainability of, almost comfort, if that makes sense. So,
right.
when you stop by the brewery, it probably wasn't comfortable because there were a lot of people there in a small space.
Right.
And it wasn't comfortable for me as a producer because I had to serve beer a little faster than I would have liked to and quicker than I would have liked to, younger than I would have liked to. And it just became inconvenience and non-sustainable from a business standpoint to operate one small brewery. So we opened another one that was able to accommodate more people and make more beer for a larger audience.
Right.
And then we needed more retail space, so we opened a store. Then we needed more space for barrels because we were neglecting our barrels at the firm. So we opened a barrel brewery, a wood brewery. It's all pretty, I don't think, again, I'm not at a point. I'm just sort of making hopefully smart decisions that affect the overall quality of the experience and the beer and food that we're making.
It seems to me like you are making the right decisions. But the reason I feel like Tired Hands is at that point is the beers that you release in cans, I mean, they're very widely sought after to the point where people are going to line up for the beer and then probably drinking stuff for themselves and turning around and trading it because Tired Hands has become more or less the commodity beer to have in the beer community. That, to me, that's why I think of Tired Hands at that point. But is that something you thought you would see your beer turn into something that people are able to trade for other things?
No, man. I just think that we're incredibly fortunate to have opened a brewery when we did,
right?
In 2012, and to have consistently maintained a very high level of quality.
Yes.
And I think it's equal parts dumb luck and talent. I was a professional brewer before I opened my brewery,
right.
And brewing is a trade, and people often forget that. And what we see now is a lot of breweries that are being opened by people that haven't really worked for someone else and understood the shitty working conditions. Am I allowed to curse on this podcast?
Yes, absolutely.
Please do.
The shitty working conditions and the low pay, which are actually not really things anymore. That's something that we actively work to fix and remedy at Tired Hands.
Right.
But no, we're just incredibly fortunate that people have continued to be interested in the stuff that we make.
Right. Now, speaking of the beers that are out there and that you make and release and people pretty much seek out, you pretty much invented a beer style, is my understanding of it. The milkshake IPA, the hazy IPA, that more or less started with what you were doing at Tired Hands, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, I think so.
Okay. I'm glad we're on the same page with that.
These are the sorts of things that are very hard to sort of be this is this point and this. I mean, I think a lot of people sort of expect, but definitely. It has been what you guys have been known for.
If not, we're the first to do. It definitely helped make it, its own beer category that has entrance into GABF now.
Well, not cloudy IPA at all, but the sub genre, whatever you want to call it, of this current iteration of IPA. I think that we, along with our collaborators at Omnipollo in Sweden, had quite a bit to do with. And it's funny, because it's a disgusting looking beer.
It's beautiful looking.
It's disgusting to look at a brew sheet. The first milkshake IPA brew sheet, I was like, this is going to be funny. This is going to be so funny. And the reality is it tastes really good, doesn't look that great, but it benefits from being so simple and straightforward that anyone can drink it, and I think that's why it has legs.
Yeah.
You can say, hey, Grandma, here's a strawberry milkshake IPA, and it's there's no decoding that has to happen in her head. She could have never tried beer before. Sorry, I'm just talking to you. I'm talking to you guys
cool.
now. But she's had strawberries and she's had a milkshake before, and there's just an automatic click that happens, which I think is why it's become so popular. Is you're just creating a beer that contains flavors that tastes like easily identifiable food items.
I'm curious how many different iterations of the recipe and how many different ingredients you tried before you sort of honed into this is what a Tired Hands milkshake is going to be. Or have you gotten into a pattern, or are you still always playing around with that recipe?
Well, milkshakes tend to contain a fruit. Generally focusing on a single fruit, maybe two, fruit and a spice, fruit and a tea or whatever. But we brewed a lot with fruits, like fruit IPAs. That was sort of the pupa phase of the milkshake IPA at Tired Hands for the first 2 years. And then it was just the eventual overlay with ingredients such as vanilla and lactose, which made it way more approachable.
Yeah, that was actually something I was curious about, was the evolution that sort of leads to that. Were you doing a lot of adjuncted beers? So you're doing a lot of stuff with fruit and a lot of crazy additions of things that maybe you wouldn't even think should be in a beer. Was that something you brought from previous brewing experience? Was that something that you had been doing for a long time? I mean, honestly, it's something that I brought from my home brewing experience, because I had been brewing professionally for almost 7 years when my wife and I decided to build Tired Hands. Right. And when you brew for someone else, you don't brew your own beer. You brew what they want you to brew so they can run their business and make money, and so you can continue to get a paycheck. So the experimentation, whether it was fruit spices, unconventional fermentation temperatures, whatever, or techniques, whatever you may have, that really came from my home brewing days, and we really went hard with fruit fermentations, especially in hoppy beer. I just was really kind of into the complementary effects of specific fruits with specific hops. Generally, I would just take one hop and one fruit and accentuate them both by adding them both to the same IPA. Right. Yeah. And I mean, milkshake, the base milkshake recipe is just 2 hops, Mosaic and Citra, and generally 1 fruit.
So there was I don't even know if it's true, a rumor that was going around the beer industry several years ago that Tired Hands was putting flour in their beer.
Just milkshake.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's like...
Is that for color, or
No.
was it for the haziness?
Yeah. It's an old wit beer brewer's trick, and something that I used to... Well, that we, on the down low, used... it's a technique we used to employ at one of the breweries that I worked at previously in our wit beer. So, for a perma-stable haze... because that's the worst thing in the world. If you're running a brew pub and your wit beer that's been on tap for 2 months is all of a sudden as clear as a lager.
Right. Yeah.
So we would dose it with wheat flour in the boil. So I was like, that's cool. And the thinking with milkshake was that it would always be like, there's hop hands, just like twice that haze without too much heft,
Right.
I will admit, I feel like I have to come clean on this podcast. I was one of those naive people that was like, oh my God, I can't believe Tired Hands puts flour in their beer. And I went off and I bitched about it. But when it comes down to it, it is a natural ingredient.
Well, fuck it. Like, why not?
And why not?
But
Yeah,
why would
you
that,
and I were having this
why
conversation.
Why would that piss anybody off?
Yeah.
Shit, like, people put cacao nibs. They
I
put
know.
glitter. Like,
They
seriously.
put fucking glitter.
Well, no one here is allowed to defend glitter in beer. I'm sorry, I will leave.
And I'm not doing that.
Okay.
And Mike, I forgot the charcoal beer. I'm sorry.
Charcoal's cool now. It's okay.
I wanted him to bring
But-
the charcoal beer.
yeah.
I thought that was amazing.
But with respect to the wheat powder, it's like what comes before the boil process? You mash, and generally speaking, our mashes contain some form of wheat.
Right, exactly.
It's just silly. But that's interesting to hear. I've never really I never understood the outrage, and it's interesting for me to hear for the first time from somebody.
Yeah. I feel like I had to let it go because I feel like we've all evolved in this world of beer, and I've said some really stupid things about beer in
We
the
all
past.
have. I still continue to do so.
I say stupid things about a lot of stuff, not just
I
beer.
know.
I think having too strong of an opinion right now in beer just makes you look like a dummy.
No, I agree with you.
Because the doors have been blown the fuck
You're
off.
right. You're so right.
And everyone is doing everything all the time. And information travels so fast.
Yeah.
And like even if you just think about IPA, like let me take a deep breath. It was like West Coast IPA, East Coast IPA, then it was hazy IPA, then it was double dry hopped hazy IPA, then it was fruit IPA, fruit hazy IPA, then it was fruit hazy double dry hopped IPA, then it was milkshake fruit double dry hopped
Charcoal.
hazy IPA,
Then it was
and then it
charcoal.
was sour. Like fuck it, like don't let it piss you off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
No, I
it
hear ya.
tastes good, that should be all that matters. If you like
That's
it, drink
right.
it.
Yeah.
And
That's the best response ever.
Yeah.
Don't let it piss you off. It's beer.
yeah, it's beer.
Seriously.
Beer is not meant to get you angry.
Don't
It's
overanalyze
Just enjoy it.
If you don't like it, order something else.
Exactly.
I think I need. I hope you can have that as a soundbite. So if I ever rant and go off about something, just press Gene saying, "Don't
will
let
now.
it piss you off."
I will now.
Yeah.
Well, we had mentioned the beer that we're drinking now. We're drinking Hop Hands. How long has this been in the Tired Hands portfolio? Has it been there from the beginning?
Yeah, so I never really wanted to have like house beers or flagships or whatever. I wanted our entire model to be predicated on sort of spontaneity and kind of for the first year or so, I was really just into not knowing what I was going to brew day to day. I would just kind of wake up and take the temperature of the air, listen to some music on my ride in, and have a time and figure something out as I went, and that worked. But I realized the utility, just from a comfort standpoint, for our guests to have like these like pillars that they could stand on, and our other styles of interest could stand on. So Hop Hands and Saison Hands have been on since day one. So Hop Hands is almost 7 years old.
Wow. I forgot about Saison Hands.
Oh, I did.
That's
That is-
that's part of the problem,
that is
man. We should talk
still-
about that.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not that I forget about Saison.
No,
it's
that's
just
still my favorite Tired Hands beer.
I don't remember the
It's
last time I had it.
delicious.
Although I was at the Fermentaria.
We call it. It's a made-up word.
Okay.
It's Fermentaria, but
Fermentaria.
my wife's a lawyer, so we just call it the firm.
The firm. I like that.
I like that.
I was there last night, and I only had time for one beer, unfortunately. But the beer that I chose was the Resilience IPA, which I am glad that Philly Beer is representing in that. A couple episodes ago, we had mentioned what it was. It was for the victims and the recovery from the campfire out in California. How many breweries in the Philly area did that? I know it was brewed
A
at
lot,
Love,
yeah.
Love City, was
Yeah,
it?
These guys did
East
it.
Branch.
East Branch.
Oh, it was
did
brewed at
it,
East
yeah.
Branch. I'm sorry. It was great. It's awesome. Is it on tap, I'm guessing, over at East Branch? Not yet.
You have to turn their mic on.
No, no. He just shouts from the corner. He's going to do that the whole episode. That's our new. He's Robin. He's our Robin. That's our new thing.
It's not finished yet.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Fair
Well,
enough.
by the time this episode comes out, I'm sure it will be. But it was delicious. It was delicious.
Yeah.
It was such a great beer, and it's awesome to see that you're taking part in that.
We had a real good time with that beer. It was just such a trip to be sent a brew sheet from Sierra Nevada that all the cells were plumbed in. They auto-populated based on your barrel size and the alpha acid of your hops, and we find the shit out of that beer, which is something we generally don't do. So it presents like a Sierra Nevada beer. We tapped it yesterday, and I felt like I was in Chico on the main line. If that makes
like
sense.
It was a guest tap. This is our
like
Sierra Nevada guest tap.
Like a guest tap, man. And we had a nice session with that after work too.
Good. It's a great beer.
I've been wanting to ask this question to each of you, but since we have one representative from each of the three breweries here, by the way...
Yeah, you are now a representative of the brewery. Whoever wants the mic.
What's up, Sean?
Yeah, Sean, say your name. Say, hi, I'm Sean, so they know your voice.
Hi, I'm Sean.
So I'm curious about your three very distinctively different breweries. However, you seem to have such a camaraderie and a mutual respect for each other. How important is that mutual respect, and how much does that come into play in this industry?
That's a good one. I think we have a mutual respect for one another because we know each other and we know what each one of us is doing with our business. And none of us, all three of us, I'm not trying to be tired hands. East Branch is not trying to be root down. We do our own thing, and we do it passionately and from what we truly believe in. And I think that's why we get along so well. Like we're in it. This sounds like, I don't know, this sounds wrong. We feel like we're all in it for the right reason. To be simple.
Plus, we're friends. We've been friends for a long time.
A very long time.
That helps.
I think, how long have we known each other?
I've known Sean. I don't know, 2000 maybe.
Yeah, and same thing with.
And the
Gene.
first time when I knew Sean, Sean was a bartender at a bar I would always go to. I worked at a beer distributor. Yeah. And me and Sean would talk about our future in the beer world, and we kind of started our own thing. Sean started a restaurant. I started a homebrew shop. I got to know Gene knew Sean through the restaurant, right? That Sean was a bartender at.
In all likelihood, Sean served me my first official legal craft beer at the drafting room.
Yeah,
nice. With great pride.
With great pride.
No, we had fun times and getting all this stuff started together.
Would you say they were happy,
we were young.
fun times?
We were young.
They were.
And we wanted to stamp our mark in this business, and here we are 15 years later, and it's exciting.
And you're doing it.
We're just getting started.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess speaking personally, I'm very proud of the arc that I find these two organizations on, Mike's organization, Sean, or Dylan's organization, and Kevin's organization. But and these guys, I've known them for a long time, and what they're doing excites me because I'm a brewer, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. It excites me because they're exploring. Mike has a wider scope. I think he's into getting a little freakier with adjuncts and whatnot, but the guys at East Branch keep it fucking real, and I love their lager program. I love their haze-inspired IPA, which is just so silly because that shit is almost clear. It's the light. You must not add enough flour.
There's not enough flour in that one.
No. But they both came along when I was actually kind of getting bummed out with what was happening, and especially the local beer market, where it was just a lot of monkey see, monkey do, a lot of just breweries open up just to pump out stupid fucking hazy beer. A bunch of beer that just tasted like candy, and outside of being my friends, they're brewing beer that legitimately excites me, and I want to engage with the stuff they're making.
You bring up an interesting point. A lot of copycat breweries that are
cover bands.
Yeah,
cover
essentially,
bands.
and
that's fine. That's all good.
But are they at risk at making the craft beer scene boring? I mean,
I can only speak personally, and I'm not going to go to a brewery that is just doing shit that we did in 2014. I'm going to go to a brewery that is actively engaging with all sorts of styles, actively innovating, and are just cool to be around.
I'm curious what's going on your head right now, because I have a feeling that you're constantly, you mentioned that you're doing kombucha now. I feel like you're always pushing yourself to what's next, what's different, what's new. You're not going to do milkshake IPAs forever. I can just tell that.
I went through a phase where 2 years ago, where myself and my brewery director Colin, we call him Magic Man. He built the business. Like, he just showed up on my doorstep eating a burrito the day that my wife and I bought the cafe building, and was like, "How can I help?" That's a true story.
That's amazing.
Colin, if you're listening to this, I'm very proud of you. But we went through and he worked his way up from essentially bartender to brewery director, and he does an amazing job, and I love working with him. But we went through a phase 2 years ago where we were like, should we just stop brewing milkshake IPA? This sort of this fever pitch, this apex of everyone just brewing that for why, I don't know, just to brew it and make money. But we didn't. We decided that it was an important part of our portfolio, part of our catalog, and we kept it around. And it continues to be, like I said earlier, it is an important sub-genre of the current iteration of IPA, and we've all accepted that. But to answer your question about what's going on in my head, right now I'm kind of at a point where I don't believe that the future of beer is even beer. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Love it.
I don't think, I feel like we're going to kind of exhaust ourselves a little bit as a culture, and I think it's high time to begin thinking about things that aren't beer, even if you're a brewery.
So is that why expanding the barrel program, doing more spontaneous beers, getting into the kombucha?
Yeah, totally.
You're broadening the view of Tired Hands?
So we received our vintner's license, our winemaker's license, about 6-7 months ago. Yeah, so we have a few batches of natural wine going right now, both in stainless and in oak. Kombucha is I'm hoping to make that a big part of our portfolio. Yeah, that was made with kiwis are so cool.
Kiwis are pretty cool.
No, there's something like 40,000 varieties of kiwis in the world. And
are you serious?
There's a small variety called kiwi berries. They're colloquially known as kiwi berries that grow pretty well in this climate. And we found one of 3 organic producers in North America, right in Lancaster County. So we bought a few tons of kiwi berries. Actually, they're known. You'll see them in the supermarkets. They're known as passion poppers, which sounds like a party drug.
Wow, yeah. Passion poppers.
Sean, you want to do some passion poppers with me, dude?
I've seen some videos on the internet about that.
We're done.
No, yeah, exactly. But this is a kombucha that we made with kiwi berries and spirulina, which is essentially algae.
Hence the green color.
Hence the green color. Yeah, that's a big push for us with our kombucha program, is to make them visually intriguing as well as. Tastes good.
I don't know that I've ever actually had kombucha.
What?
I'm not sure.
So why does this surprise you?
Yeah.
Oh, this is true.
I know very, very little about kombucha. It's essentially like fermented tea.
Yep, exactly.
Right.
It's a lightly fermented tea that kind of undergoes this, an initial fermentation. Then any ethanol that's created is eventually sort of metabolized into acetic acid or vinegar type compounds. I mean, I'm putting it very lightly, mostly because I don't totally understand
You're just getting started yourself.
the magic of it.
Right.
But the finished form is legally has to be under 0.5% ABV.
Say they're fairly really low in alcohol.
Well, I mean, alcoholic kombucha is actually going to be a thing, I think, soon. It is sort of a
big
thing
in Cali.
In Cali, yeah.
It's interesting that you say the future of beer is not beer. I don't think I've ever really thought about that, but
same.
It kind of makes sense when you look at the trends and the things we've been talking about with adjuncted beers and milkshake IPA. Beer is getting further and further away, which we've bemoaned as old curmudgeon podcasters. We appreciate our traditional beer that tastes like beer styles, and I don't think we make any secret of that.
I'm okay with it as long as they still make a Pilsner or a Helles.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'll try all the.
But it never occurred to me that that's sort of all pointing towards people trying things that aren't beer.
I don't usually use Untapped as a metric, but this is a funny one that I'm going to relate to you guys. Our highest rated beer on Untapped isn't a beer at all. It's a dry hopped juice that I canned up for our 6th anniversary. And some of the comments are fucking mind blowing. There are comments that are 5 stars out of 5 stars. This shit tastes like juice.
Your face.
And that's equal parts scary and super exhilarating to me.
Wow.
100% scary.
All right, we can agree to disagree, Joe.
That's interesting. A projection.
I love it.
Yeah.
But you hit the nail. You hit the nail on the head. Is some of the best-selling beer right now, at least in our market, is the beer that doesn't taste anything like beer.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
That is kind of scary for what we do.
But I guess it's okay.
At the same time, though, like when we started this podcast, there were a handful of other beer podcasts, and now there's like a million of them. So maybe they'll start to go away, and we'll just keep fucking doing it. 'Cause beer's not going away. I mean, people are going to keep making beer regardless.
Evolve.
Like, but yeah, the hype might move on.
To be clear, I'm not intending to make any less beer than I'm currently making.
Course.
Like, it's to think of it as sort of like a catalog or a spectrum of goods and services that we offer. It's here to stay. Like, we're having a time with it.
Right.
Thank God, I still got to pay the bank back. So it better stick around for a while.
Better get into kombucha, dude.
I know.
Kombucha IPA.
Yeah. Well,
Well, there are dry hopped kombuchas.
Correct.
Oh,
Just sort of.
There's probably not a drink on the planet that has not been dry hopped by somebody.
Pepsi.
I'm sure someone's done it.
Dude,
Dry
this
hopped
shit
Pepsi?
tastes just like Pepsi.
All right, well, so Gene brought a box of beer, and I'm sure there's some really interesting stuff in there.
Rich wants to try
The milk stave. Yeah.
the pineapple guava milkshake.
Well,
This
let's
is the
do it.
one Rich picked.
That's not a milkshake, so that's not even released yet.
Oh, it's milk stave.
Oh.
So this is... Do you want to get into it?
Let's do it.
So we're going to be releasing this for the first time tomorrow at our general store. It's called Milk Stave. And it's...
should we pass to the left?
Always. You always pass the
on the
ladies
left-hand
first.
side.
Let's go. I play that card when it has to do with beer. Sorry. And I'm the record keeper, so I take pictures. Sorry, continue.
No worries. So this is essentially like an oak fermented version of our milkshake IPA. Fermented with a blend of yeast and bacteria. Generally, it's mostly our like common foeder culture that we used in it, with some additions, and kind of thinking about like this sour milkshake IPA thing that's at the end of the spectrum that I was describing earlier. We wanted to make something with more of an acid complexity to it, but a real acid complexity that developed over time via microflora, time, temperature, pH, the whole nine. Instead of just a quick kettle sour, no offense, Mike. Instead of just a quick kettle sour.
Some people take the easy way out. That's fine.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, and again, no offense, Mike. I just don't like the way I don't like the way kettle sour IPAs taste. I think it's presents an incongruent hop profile with the amount of hops that a brewer adds to like make an IPA, and it usually ends up like canceling out the hop profile. I think due to the low pH. But anyhow, we pretty much brewed milkshake into a 60 hectoliter French oak foeder, let it sit there for about 5.5 months. So we kind of hit the pause button on a batch of milkshake IPA for 5.5 months until the pH was where we wanted it to be, the yeast presence was where we wanted it to be, and then we hit pause again and continued. So then we dosed it with the same amount of fruit that we would use in a batch of milkshake IPA, kicking up a secondary fermentation, and then dry hops with the same amount of hops that we would use in a batch of milkshake IPA towards the tail end of that secondary fermentation. As soon as it was done, because at this point it's an IPA, and you want to get it packaged and in the glass as soon as possible.
Right.
We ran it through our bottling line, bottle conditioned for about 3 weeks, and that's what we're drinking right now.
It's very different.
Yeah. I like it.
Pretty fucking amazing.
It is really good.
Absolutely.
It is really good.
You get it though, right? Like it's the tenets of a milkshake IPA are there,
Right.
Just with like depth,
and
fermentation depth.
It's got like the complexity, the tartness, the acidity of a really nice barrel aged sour.
Yeah.
But then combined with that like soft, pillowy mouthfeel of a hazy IPA, which honestly is not something I'm usually a fan of.
Yeah.
But it really, I don't know that I've ever had anything that had those two components combined in this way.
Yeah.
I love what it's doing to my tongue, if that makes sense.
There's like an extra
Does that even
effervescence
make
there.
sense?
Yeah, no, I get it. It feels like almost like after I swallow it that it's like I had Pop Rocks.
Interesting. Yeah, like a classic like kid candy profile, like Pixie Sticks or something. But this is interesting too, because my primary fear with this experiment was that there would be too much residual sugar left in solution at packaging, because we do dose with lactose, which is, at least on paper unfermentable. But our blend of yeast and bacteria chewed it all the way down to 0.4 Plato, so I was very comfortable packaging this beer.
Yeah, it is surprising how dry it is at the end.
Yeah.
You would think it would just be like sweet because of everything that's going on.
Well, it's just when I started brewing with vanilla, especially using vanilla in IPAs, I realized that vanilla is amazing because, well, it's vanilla and it tastes awesome, but it also provides this perception of sweetness which is just a magic trick. You know, you can have an empirically dry as water beer with vanilla in it, and your palate still interprets it as, you know, being sweet.
The way you talk about brewing beer and beer ingredients is very musical. You
He's
can
an
tell
artist.
there's
He's
you
truly
are.
an artist.
You talk
That's what
about
I love
it
about
with
Gene.
such passion, and
Gene,
you are such a jerk.
Gene can buy what?
I never know if you're being sarcastic
No,
or you're
I'm
being
being
sincere.
serious.
All right. I'm just making
I have
sure.
that issue
Brewing.
too.
I'm
With it.
just making sure.
Gene combines brewing with art. That's not. I'm being serious.
No,
Of
it's
course I'm
true.
being serious.
It's true. And those guys are just being hilarious down there. Sharing their-
Get that timekeeper bottle out. That's what we'll get into next. That thing is awesome.
Definitely, let's
Sweet.
do it.
Rich, you have to open it.
That's another unreleased.
Rich just
gem.
wants to carry that gigantic bottle around.
Before you open it, who made that beer? What's the logo on that beer?
The Grim Reaper.
No,
a
no,
Grim
on the
Reaper.
side though. There's a
Oh.
brewery logo on the side.
Uh-oh.
What brewery logo is that at the bottom?
It looks like the Taco Hands label. That's what it looks like.
Is it the? Yeah,
I don't know.
I know what that is.
That's a combination of East Branches.
Yeah, that's their
logo
wavy,
and
the
Tired
wavy
Hands,
John that's
so-
on their
That's
shirt.
The wavy
so
John.
cool.
I think we're
The
getting an
wavy
announcement
John.
about a collaboration, right?
Ah.
I think we
Yeah.
are.
Uh-oh.
Maybe that's what
Is
that
this
is.
what's happening?
It's a collaboration.
Collaboration announcement.
Oh shit!
Wait, this might be the best segue we've ever had
Literally.
on the show. Now we can let the East Branch guys talk.
I didn't even know about this.
Now I'm jealous.
At this point, I don't think anybody
Should we kick Mike out and let one of
Yeah,
those two guys
Yeah.
for a moment?
You want the mic? You want the mic?
Yeah, get one of these guys
Yeah,
the mic
get
for a
one of
little
those
bit.
guys on the mic.
Get over here.
But Gene has to stay on the mic too. So we're going to
Kick
talk
the
about this
host
beer.
out.
We're going to talk about
Or
this
bring
beer.
your chair over and share. I mean, we can make this a production nightmare all now.
That's- yeah, this
Yeah,
is-
I don't really know what's happening.
Yeah, I like how we had a plan, and we're 45 minutes to an hour into recording, and the plan's gone.
Plans never stay.
We should have expected that. So this is you have labeled as an early American double IPA.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
You're talking about it, or?
Whoever feels the most qualified
there
to
was
answer.
I posted a little thing of that on my Instagram, and it was a nice little quip. It said maybe it's an early American IPA because it's in a bottle and not a can.
I like that.
I thought that was funny.
I like that.
Well,
but it's,
That is
I
funny.
also feel like, because we haven't introduced you guys yet, we've just said the brewery that you are representing, but we're going to go down the line. So we have joining us
my name is Kevin McGovern.
Kevin and
Sean McGettigan.
Sean, and last but certainly not least,
I'm Dylan Meanix, but I want everybody to know that Kevin McGovern isn't his real name.
It's Gov.
Everybody
Gov.
calls him Gov,
Gov.
in this industry.
I can live with that.
All right.
I was going to say, did you not want to change your last name to Mick Meanix?
Actually, my name for Gene is Dill Dog.
It's Dill Dog.
No. Gene's name for me is Dill Dog, and he's trying to spread that.
At Dill Dog.
I wasn't going to make you say that on air.
Dill Dog.
But you were pointing at me a lot.
Ominously.
It's been said. Dill Dog, the podcast goblin.
What's up, Dill Dog?
The podcast Robin. I'm the hype man.
Oh my goodness. I love it. So breaking news, East Branch and Tired Hands did a collaboration beer together.
Yeah, it's our second
That's
or
pretty
third
awesome.
now.
Second official.
Yeah, second official. Yeah, it's called Timekeeper, and it's absolutely 100% inspired by double IPAs that we grew up drinking. It's crystal clear, tons of Simcoe. This is really kind of like, imagine a brewery just getting their first bale of Simcoe. That's what what we set out to brew with this one.
It's been a long time.
That's Simcoe.
It's been a long time since we had something very forward on
It's
Simcoe.
been a long time.
Simcoe has traditionally been one of my favorite hops, and I haven't had something this dank and pissy, to be completely honest, in a long time, and it's nice.
There's more hops in the boil of this double IPA than there are in 4 batches of hop hands.
Wow. So how did this come about? Were you guys just all sitting around drinking and you're like, we really miss old double IPAs. Let's brew one. Is that how it came about?
I mean,
Come on, Gov.
How can we?
We've been talking about, Kevin and I have been talking about this for a year or so, and I don't know, speaking personally, I become very nostalgic for beer like this time of year, and we intended to brew it last year. spaced on it, but we got ahead of it this year. So we're going to be releasing this on Sunday, just in time for Christmas, because like this kind of beer is what like I loved getting drunk on Christmas Day with my dad.
I love it. What is the ABV? I can't imagine it takes many. At least a one for me.
8.3, I think.
Oh wow, yep.
But yeah, like this celebration, it's like
celebration.
That type
It's
of beer.
that time of the year.
Yeah.
For
That's
sure.
what you drink.
And I guess who was joking about the bottle versus can? Was that we packaged it in 22-ounce bombers as a complete throwback. We've never done a bomber before.
Nice.
That's awesome. I love it. So you do all of the artwork, correct?
I used to. I used to do all of the artwork, I'd say, for the first 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started working with this guy from South Africa that I just found online. And we developed a very, very healthy working relationship. And I was able to convince him to move to work for us full time 3 months ago.
Whoa.
Well, he was living in Georgia at the time, so it was a pretty easy move. But we put out packaged beers or beers in packages at a pretty breakneck rate, 2 to 4 a week.
Mm-hmm.
And identity is a big thing for us. Meaning that it's not just about the liquid, how it tastes, how it smells. But I want it to look pretty in the package when you pull it off the shelf in the general store. So, bringing Mike on, his name's Mike Lawrence. His Instagram name is Mike Lawrence Illustrated. Check it out. Bringing on a full-time artist, graphic designer was a no-brainer. So at this juncture, I'd say I do maybe 40% of the art, and he does the rest.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So I guess we should mention you guys, right?
If you want to.
I mean, we did it. We
We're
did a
just
brief
happy
intro.
to be here.
No, we are super, super thrilled to have you guys here. East Branch Brewing, of course, is located in Downingtown. And you are in a really cool building. Which one of you wants to talk about the building first?
I will talk about the building.
There we go.
It is
Go ahead, Dildog.
The town. Thank you. I hope that gets some legs. The old firehouse for our town. The brewery is where the lounge/bowling alley was, which is really exciting and fun. And then upstairs where our restaurant is, restaurant brew pub, that's where we sling some food and sling some beers.
That's awesome. And Kevin, you worked at Victory for quite a long time, correct?
I did just under 10 years, yeah. That was my introduction into the production side of brewing, or I guess, yeah.
Introduction,
in general.
more than an introduction, I suppose, if it was nearly a decade of time.
I was an auto mechanic for about the decade before that, and I had been home brewing with this guy over here, and I just went for it one day and got hired. Was lucky enough to get hired, and pretty much everything I've learned is courtesy of them. So once our beers come out here, you'll see that reflected. Some nice clean.
Should I use my Jedi mind tricks?
We'll make some beers happen.
Yeah.
Very cool. So you do have a solid lager program, which I appreciate as a lover of all things lagers.
That's our thing.
As an adult beer drinker, after adult beer flavors.
Oh, shit.
Touche.
Shots
That was
fired.
Gene saying that, by the way.
Was that bad?
No,
I
that
loved
was
it.
good.
That was everything that I love.
Because my kids just like trash beer.
Yeah.
Your kids aren't. No, whatever.
Sorry, Kevin, I'm trying to ask you.
I'm used to dealing with this guy.
We got some serious questions coming your way.
Victory also has an outstanding lager program as well.
Correct,
So did you
correct.
bring that with your experience at Victory, or is that just something you love and you wanted to make sure that that was evident at East Branch?
It's kind of twofold. I'm a Downingtown guy. Moved to this area when I was very young. I was always a Victory fan, and over the years I looked for ins into working at Victory. When I was an auto mechanic, I was like, maybe I can be an HVAC guy or something like that. So it was kind of like I wanted to work at that brewery. It was my hometown brewery. They opened the year I graduated high school. I was drinking Hop Devil, when I was 21, obviously. And it was just
like Dylan's kids.
Yeah. And that it's like
no comment.
I wanted to get into the beer game, and I wanted to get into the beer game with Victory. And it eventually opened up. I had a friend who was running their warehouse, and he called me up one day, and it was a particularly bad day of fixing BMWs at that point. He said, we're looking for beer knowledgeable, mechanically inclined people. And I was like, hey, that's me. So I sent my resume over to Bill and Ron and interviewed with Bill and Ron. Actually didn't even have a resume. I just sent him an email.
Yeah, I was going to tease you, what was your resume? Hey, guys, what's up?
That was pretty much it.
I fix cars and make beer. So, I mean, I got both your boxes checked.
Yeah.
I saw you the other day.
So then, I mean, that it was because of Prima Pils that I wanted to work at that brewery, and it just like German styles, classic styles, old school stuff like that. I'm an old curmudgeon, and I like things the way they're supposed to be. So I definitely brought a lot of that over. We try to fit the lagers in where we can, and just classic styles. Try to do the seasonal type of things, and that's what we're about. And people seem to like it so far. People like it, right? Gene likes it.
I mean, you guys are still here.
I like it.
All right, you got it.
And when you first opened, we were sort of talking before the show started. The bar was downstairs with the brewing and fermenting area, but now that area is closed off because you're sort of expanding that space, and now you have almost a brew pub setup, a restaurant setup upstairs with a full, pretty kick-ass looking menu.
Yeah.
How long has the second floor been open?
We opened at the end of March, and it's been fucking awesome ever since.
It's a super unique menu also.
Yes. We have awesome vegan selections, and I am the opposite of a vegan, and then I eat vegan food every day, and I'm like, oh, this is so fucking cool. And the kitchen's like, loser. That was vegan food. Bitch.
Oh, got you.
Great answer, Dylan.
Thank you. I'll be here all night.
I don't know why I got such a kick out of that.
It's okay.
Because this is my first time, man.
There was no meat in that. You fucking idiot.
Oh.
Yes, basically. That's what they say.
But you liked it.
You liked it, and it was good. And Sean, you also own Station Taproom.
I do.
So I'm sure that experience from owning that establishment, which is also known for a great beer list and super awesome food.
Yeah, it's been fun with East Branch kind of exploring a different taste and a different push on foods that pair well with beer and especially pair well with beer made on site. So it's been a ton of fun.
Should we try your beer?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
I think we should.
I'm super excited.
I spy some Hellas.
Hellas sounds good.
Hellas?
No, those little cans. Those little ones
Little
that say
ones?
Hellas.
Little ones?
Little ones that say Hellas.
We talked to Rich in the mic like he can hear us.
It's totally different when you know he's
I think everybody gets a can.
Yeah.
We need to get him like a
Sweet
wireless
little pour.
headphone
Everybody
pack.
gets a can.
You get a can, and you get a can, and you get a can.
This is the Oprah format.
Hold on. Yes. This is the Oprah portion of the show.
What is it called? All Hellas?
Oh.
Love it.
Oh, this is a really
delicious.
cool story. So our friend Pat, Gov, do you want to tell this?
Sure.
He does. He doesn't usually volunteer to speak.
I don't. That's not really my thing. So we have a good friend of ours. His name's Pat Shannon. He hangs out in Phoenixville quite often. One day, him and his girlfriend were they foster and adopt senior dogs. Like that's one of their things, and they named one of their foster dogs Sean McGettigan the dog one time, and Sean was obviously flattered, and we thought, oh hey, we'll show Pat. We're gonna name a tank after him, and so we did that, and he was like, that's really awesome, thank you. And then so we were brewing this beer, and we were putting it into this tank named Pat Shannon, and he is in a pretty well-respected hardcore band called All Else Failed. They've been up and down on the radar. They get together once a year when they need money or to sell records.
Fair. That's fair.
Their schedules permit, I believe, is the...
Yeah, that's what I meant. Pat, I love you. The first time I brewed this Helles, and I was knocking it out into this tank called Pat Shannon, and I was looking at it, I was like, this is a Helles. We should probably call this beer All Helles Failed. And that's how it went. This is the second iteration of it, and we actually sent a bunch of this beer on tour with him last month. He's in a new band now called Hold Down the Ocean. Check him out. They were touring with Me Without You, another Philly band, and so that's how the name came to be. The beer was always going to be a Helles, and then just the tank kind of dictated the name.
Makes sense. It's a delicious beer. I love it.
Thank you.
It's great.
This is great. Yeah. This is definitely the one beer tonight that I just want like a whole fucking can of.
Well,
look at that! You have one.
And look at that! There it is.
Oh yeah.
I was super excited to try you guys' beers because of the 3 breweries we have on tonight. I don't think I've had any of your stuff.
Yeah, I don't think I have either.
And I'm the least familiar with you guys and your brewery. I apologize for that. No
apology accepted.
No disrespect. So it's super exciting.
That's why all 3 of them came.
Yes.
So you guys have... do you have a 3rd floor outdoor space? Did I read that somewhere? Or is it coming soon or something?
Coming soon.
Coming soon? That's pretty cool.
I will not glue down a date.
Well, I hope when it's warm. I mean, I realize it's 60
Can
whatever
you
degrees
staple
today.
down
But
a date?
I don't staple anything.
Can you post it a date? I mean, that's
except
pretty
for
loose.
paper.
That's a good compromise.
We're shooting for this spring to open up on our roof, and it is absolutely beautiful. Every single sunset is beautiful when you're on a roof drinking beer.
I'm just going to go ahead and do it for you, Dylan. April 20th.
You heard it here first.
2019.
It would be wonderful. That's, as of right now, April 20th is what we're shooting for. I believe that's 5/20.
I think we're gonna. Yeah, that's 5/20. Let's all put it in our calendars now so we can remind you.
We'll be there.
You're actually doing it.
You're actually putting things in phones.
It is a Saturday.
It wouldn't be the first time that we've done this.
It is a Saturday.
It is
all
true.
right. East Branch.
We have a beautiful rooftop.
3rd floor.
That
Just to
is-
be clear, that was Gene's.
That's true. It was Gene saying that.
If you
Gene's.
show up, it might just be Gene on the roof by himself.
we might be
Smoking
there
my
too.
brains out.
So, guys, while we're sipping on this Helles, one thing that we...
It's also Passover. Anyone's keeping score.
Perfect.
It's
Perfect.
a big day.
One thing we tried for this episode for the first time ever, we actually reached out to our listeners on Instagram and we invited them to submit questions for us to ask you guys on air. So I picked
Thank
2
God.
of them, which I thought were kind of fun. The first one is from Pat. Pat wants to know what makes you different than all the other breweries.
Us.
Well, any of you guys. Gene's already thoughtfully thinking about his response.
Thoughtfully thinking.
Yeah.
We put our heart into
Thoughtfully
it, and
thinking.
I'm sure every other brewery says the same exact thing. But everything we do is based on what we would want to walk into. So every decision we made for our dining room and for our beer is what we would want to do and hang out and drink and be with our friends.
And also, I think I've wanted to be part of a brewery from the first beer I had.
I thought
When he
I
was
was
3.
like 3 years old.
We both said 3.
Yes. I don't know why 3.
and I think it's so it finally came. You know, everybody came together at the same time, and we're excited to do it the way that we want to do it, and not focus on what anybody else is doing, but focus on what we think about beer and execute. And it's been a blast to just hang out with each other, drink beer, and decide what the next beer we want to brew is, instead of thinking of what everybody else is doing, what the trend is. We want to brew beer. We want it to be clean, and we want it to be something we stand behind. And that's being able to drink every beer we want. It's super fantastic to be able to brew what we want anytime, and that it's been a ton of fun.
The question was, what makes us different?
Yeah.
Shit. Did I answer that?
Gene's hair is really long.
I'm just
and that's
confirming.
different than us. Gene has a whole head of hair.
Sean,
and
you're not
long.
winning the crown. Sorry.
I have hair. That's what makes me different. Most of our brewers have really great hair, actually.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
What's up, Jarrett? What's up, Kyle?
We
What's
only
up,
hire
Mike
people
Jones?
with good hair.
But what makes us different? That's really tough to answer, I think, because I don't know the answer. That's why it's tough to answer. No, we're almost 7 years old, and I feel like we have a pretty good track record of just trying to freak them out, if that makes sense. And that's really what excites me is the idea of what could be and what comes next. Of course, as I was explaining earlier, like that all has to be part of a spectrum that encompasses the staples and beers that taste good and you can kind of set your watch to, which is why we keep hop hands on tap all the time, which is why I brought hop hands with me. But I think what makes us different, if I were to distill it down to an answer, is that I'm just my primary goal, my primary focus is to freak them out and figure out what comes next and what looks disgusting on paper and what tastes awesome in the glass.
I like that.
I like
that. I remember early on when we started doing the podcast and being introduced to these like more fringe style of beers for a casual beer drinker, things like, when you hear words like horse blanket and sweaty socks and shit like that. And early on for me, like that's actually what really started to attract me, is like these are things, like you said, like they sound disgusting. They sound like that should not be good. And then you have it and it works. And I always love that idea of like something that just like seems like it shouldn't work until you try it, and then
it's fascinating. I mean, I've always been taken by the idea of like a magic trick when it comes to beer.
Yeah,
like I remember first thinking this when I was brewing India Black Ale or Black IPA at Iron Hill. I convinced myself that my primary job as a brewer when creating that style was to create a beer that looked like a stout but drank like an IPA. If your eyes were closed, you would just think you were drinking like an IPA.
Right.
And that's really like one of the formative experiences that I can remember that set that ball in motion for me of just like, let's psych them out.
So the other question we had from Instagram, which, Gene, it may be a more tired hand-centered question, but Brian asked, would you stand in line for your own beer?
So like three or 4 years ago, Julie, my wife, and I, we were in Amsterdam, and my favorite coffee shop in Amsterdam is a place called Gray Area. It's run by two Americans that really know marijuana inside and out. And I showed up super excited. It was like the 4th year in a row that I was going there. I knew exactly what I wanted. I had checked out their list online, and I had to stand in a fucking line to get my hash. And and at the time, this is like when we were started to do cans, and people would just like line up forever and always for cans of beer. And I thought to myself, there's nothing, including hash, that I would line up for from that point forward. And I also think that's kind of an unfair question, but
fair.
Touché.
Because I'm not you, whoever asked that question, Brian.
Yeah, Brian.
I don't know who you are, Brian. I don't know what your upbringing was like. I don't know what your value system is.
I don't know who hurt you, Brian.
Thank you.
I've always said the only line I will wait in for beer is the one where I'm at the bar and there's somebody in front of me ordering a beer.
Yeah.
That's.
I
guess it's not just me.
Like, look, lines are kind of an unfortunate byproduct of creating a product of value.
Yeah,
or creating something that people value.
Lines exist because there's more people that want a thing than you can give that thing to in a small amount of time.
Right, and it's also like not dependent. It's not the producer's responsibility. The producer didn't create a line. The culture created a line.
Well, and I don't always think it's about the product. I also think it's about the culture and about the experience.
I also do think that there are producers out there that maybe nudge a line into happening
Well, I think at this point it's part of the context through which we understand specialty releases. Is if you don't have a line, you're shit.
Yeah,
like it's that primitive. It's that caveman in people's, or it's distilled to that caveman point. Unfortunately,
yeah.
Dan, I think you had a question that you also submitted via Instagram.
I
that I said I was
I
going
don't
to
know
make
if
you
it was
ask.
so much of a question as it is a bone to pick with Eugene.
Or a demand.
Yes.
There are no bones here.
Tired Hands has a pretty impressive food menu.
The bread.
Rich loves the bread. He goes on record saying it many, many times he loves the bread.
Thanks, man.
He wants the recipe.
He wants the recipe.
It's super simple. It's 4 ingredients.
Mine, though, comes in the form of I was at the original location, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 times. Every single time I have been there, they have run out of candied bacon. I love bacon. I would die for bacon, almost literally. And all I wanted was candied bacon. And it wasn't there. Why do you run out of candied bacon?
Man, because people eat it.
This is where those lines come from.
Yeah,
you were talking
you'd
about.
wait in line for
I would
candied
wait in line
bacon.
for candied bacon.
If you
Yeah, you
actually want me to answer that, I will. And that's because at the cafe, we have an extremely small kitchen. And I don't know when you were there, but dialing it in terms of pars and preparation, it's been a constantly moving target, especially after the firm has opened.
Makes sense.
So, I mean, I can't answer entirely cohesively for your singular
don't worry.
experience, but it's if anyone else has experienced that, it's likely because we underestimated the consumption habits of our guests.
Just more reason to go back. That's all.
Sorry, Dan wrote down the specific day and time that this happened. Each time it's happened.
March
He's got a
10th,
log.
2016 at
So on this
7:30
day-
p.m. No, I don't.
Oh, our prep chef was off that day. Yeah, his mom was sick.
Oh, shit.
There you go. Don't you feel like an asshole now?
She's all right. Thanks for asking.
All right, good. And to
More
answer your question, Wayne,
importantly-
yes, I normally do.
Did they make more bacon?
Weren't you guys voted coolest candied bacon in the Western Hemisphere? Is that right?
If we were, I don't want to know about it.
I believe there's a plaque that we keep getting emails about so that we can buy. And it's pretty cool. We bought it.
What?
I don't understand what's happening.
Neither do I.
So we're drinking
Yes,
another
I was
beer.
gonna say, we passed a crowler
Can we
around.
talk about it?
Kevin, what are we
was
drinking?
in the thing?
Do you even know? We're drinking the Pilsner.
It was a Pilsner. It was definitely
Yeah, this is a pretty classic German Pils. It's all German malt, German hops, Hallertau, Mittelfrüh, Tettnang, and Perla.
It just came on tap today. It's brand new.
It's true.
It's really
Brand
nice.
spanking new.
I really like it.
Yeah.
I like that it's got that that hop character of a good Pilsner at the end, but it's not like a lot of Pilsners you see nowadays, and I think this is to have broad appeal. They're getting hoppier and hoppier and hoppier, whereas this kind of is more restrained, more traditional.
Well, it's definitely got a little bit of bite.
Yeah.
It's got bitterness, but it's not in your face.
Not to say that a hoppy Pilsner is bad.
No, I love a good
Because
hoppy
it's
Pilsner,
fun.
but it's nice to see someone with some restraint in that regard.
You know, Pilsners are supposed to be hoppy.
Right, but I feel like
I think
Just
what
not
you're-
in the way that we think of hoppy now.
That's right.
Yeah, fair.
They're the original hoppy beer.
That's true.
I don't want to be the guy that does this, and I apologize because we have so much more I'm sure that we could cover, and there's literally cases of beer on that table over there.
We still have last call.
We
There's
found
last call.
the Hellas.
Rich found the Hellas.
Very nice. All right. Well, that's going to be one that we're going to prominently feature in Last Call.
I'm going to prominently feature it in my mouth right now.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll pass this around as we're doing this.
That sounds
So
sexy.
That's
we
a sound
got
bite.
to go down the line, and I know Mike doesn't have a microphone in front of him. Oh God, don't you dare!
didn't
See, it
happen.
didn't go. Haha.
It wasn't meant to be.
So we're going to start. If people want to find East Branch on the interwebs, where do they go?
EastBranchBrewing.com.
There it is.
Or at East Branch Brewing.
At
on
East Branch.
Instantgram, I believe is what
Instantgram.
the format we use.
Yeah, and the Book of Face.
The Book of Face.
Instant Graham.
No, we don't anymore. We aren't on Facebook.
No, Facebook.
Really?
We're
Yes.
on Friendster, just Friendster.
Friendster.
No, and MySpace. You
Live
can find us
Journal.
on MySpace and
What is that?
on ICQ. Our ICQ handle.
What?
You have a bulletin board?
Am I
What is ICQ?
really?
It's last call
Am I
already.
Am I that old?
We're in last call right now.
We didn't even hit the outro music yet.
We didn't.
So I think the short answer is East Branch isn't big on the internet. Moving on.
Yes. How about Tired Hands? Where do people find Tired Hands online, Gene?
I would just recommend Googling Tired Hands.
I like that.
Best answer.
You'll find
That's a
every
really good idea.
result. All 300,000 of them, I'm sure.
Generally the best answer to that question.
I think Mike needs to answer the question too.
So, Mike. we need you to remind the
I'm
good
still here.
people out in the internet.
He doesn't have headphones on.
Where can people find Root Down on the interwebs?
Well, it's not too hard in today's day and age with the internet. Just root down, and you'll find it on Google. So www.rootdown.com,
HTTP.
Facebook,
//
Instagram. We don't do Twitter. But.
If you get led astray, do Root Down beer. Just in
So
case.
actually, here's the funny thing, real quick. If you do Google Root Down, you're going to find a food truck in North Carolina,
Okay.
and a
Beastie Boys song?
restaurant in the Denver airport.
Nice.
And then you're going to find a Beastie Boys song, and then you're going to find that Beastie Boys actually took that song from Jimmy Smith,
We talked about
the
this last time we
Norristown
were here.
jazz musician that
Yes.
actually made that. And then eventually you'll find...
And then you'll get down the
Root Down.
road to Phoenixville, and
so
everything's full circle.
What you got to do is Google Root Down, and
Brewing
then
company.
click Root Down, click 2 pages over on Root Down, like deep in the archives of Google,
Yeah, he's
and
not
you'll
kidding.
find Root Down Brewing.
Yeah.
He's not kidding at all.
Why would you lead by saying Google Root Down?
That's the dumbest answer.
What you got to do is text Mike.
Yeah.
And he'll send you the link.
His
phone
phone
number
Let me find
is-
Dylan's number real quick.
Oh,
It's 976. Text Mike instead.
Coupon code.
Coupon code Mike's Big.
Enter code at checkout.
Oh, Jesus.
Visit.
You keep turning me down. Don't keep turning me down.
Keep
Keep that mic hot.
Keep going.
You keep peeking, so I have to
I know.
adjust it.
That's what I like.
You
for it
keep
to sound
peeking.
like.
You're like the duck. You keep peeking.
Good God. Well, if all else fails, if you go to beerbusterspodcast.com, you can find links to all
Google
of these.
Beer Busters. We're not the guys in Europe. There's some guys in Europe that have a Beer Busters thing. It's like a
They're
ripoff
party
And
of
they also
planners.
plagiarize the
the
Ghostbusters,
logo. We're not them.
No,
we
we're not
don't
them.
plagiarize logos.
No, not at all. People
I think they're
plagiarize
from
ours.
the Czech Republic.
It sounds roundabout right. Twitter and Instagram at Beerbusters, Facebook Beerbusters Podcast, 805-991-BEER, which is
Do not forget, however,
805-991-2337. But most importantly of all,
Patreon.com.
This is going to be the best last call ever.
/ Beer Busters. If you want to hear what happens for the rest of the night, you need to become a patron for the podcast.
Yes.
Last call might be longer than the episode.
It
More than
very
likely,
well could
yeah.
be. I already have to pee, and that's an issue. As little as $1 a month, and you get to listen to the shit that we record that nobody else gets to listen to. So you should totally do that.
yes. The other thing
also-
is... What's that?
What you're about to say.
Yes, the other thing is...
I just thought of it, too.
If
at the same
you
time.
are at the point where you don't want to be a patron, can't be a patron, hey, I understand it. At the very least, something that would take 2 seconds to do and is free if you could leave us a rating and review on your podcast platform of choice.
There you go.
And any
Rate
other-
and review all the
any
podcasts you listen to.
Yeah,
Please,
it is-
please.
It is our currency.
It's
it is
very
how we
important.
thrive.
but don't rate and review your beers.
No, don't do that.
Just
That's
rate
cool.
and review your podcast.
Yeah, rate and review the
definitely.
podcast. I mean, 5 stars for this one,
Yeah.
I'm sure would be preferred. But it's your prerogative, and it just helps other people find the show. You get to share the love of Beer Busters, and all you have to do is click, 5 stars. Or
And
whatever you
tweet
see
about
fit.
the show using the hashtag .dildog.
.meow.
.meow. Tell all
Meow.
your friends.
Can you hashtag a dot?
No.
I don't think
Meow.
so.
No, it ends the thing
Yeah.
when you hit a dot.
Well,
We're gonna
Fucking
do,
Christ,
we're
are
gonna
we
do
done?
this.
Are we done
at
with the episode now?
That last call.
Quick, hit the
last call
outro
on
music.
closing
Yeah,
meow
I know. I
competition.
think I have to.
Hashtag invisible talk show.
Oh man.
Oh boy.
Is that a thing?
It's a
Or-
thing.
I think we're
This
doing
is
it.
this is
Yeah.
a first for a lot of us. Oh, is this the outro?
This is you know it. Yes.
Aw.
Yeah. It's been a lot of fun, and last
I
call
usually
is gonna
cry
be a
right
blast. So, gentlemen, all of you, thank you so much for joining us in the show. It's been an absolute blast. No, thank you. I appreciate that. Mike, thank you for hosting this and putting all this together. You are the real MVP of this episode. Well, my name is Dan
Mike
Baker,
Mayer.
and I'm joined by my co-host and brewologist,
Steph Hefner.
and of course the
And Dill Dog.
and Dill Dog,
and
the
new
demented
co-host
and
Dilldog.com.
Butt plug pug? I don't know.
Squids. I'll see you.
Glorious rack of barrels. Hey there, Beer Busters friends out there in the podcastiverse. If you are a beer nerd, you might be a nerd for other things as well. In that case, you might be interested in trying Loot Crate. Loot Crate is a monthly mystery crate service that delivers the best in geek and gaming gear, pop culture items. I'm talking t-shirts, I'm talking keychains, I'm talking vinyl figures, and all kinds of cool collectible stuff. For less than $20 a month, you get 6 to 8 items that include licensed gear, apparel, collectibles, unique, one-of-a-kind items, and more. You can sign up at trylootcrate.com/beerbusters and use the promo code BRIDGE10 to save 10% on any new subscription. That's right, save 10% on a new subscription to Loot Crate by visiting trylootcrate.com/beerbusters. Use the promo code BRIDGE10 and get your nerd on.